Since 2003, this is the Sports Source, East Tennessee's #1 sports talk show.
Presented by Pipe Wrench, and by Junk Be Gone, and by the Garza Law Firm.
With your host, John Pennington. The Sports Source starts now.
Good Sunday morning. Welcome into the Junk Be Gone studio for today's edition of the Sports Source. It's going to be a fun one. We've got a football team that is 6 days away from kicking off what's expected to be a playoff caliber season. Somewhere in the range. They're a playoff hopeful, you would say. I don't know if you'd guarantee it, but they're certainly in the mix, teams that are getting that dark horse label. So Tennessee's looking forward to a great season. They've got the quarterback they spent $8 million on, supposedly. They've got the #1 player in the country in James Pierce. Recruiting is through the roof right now. So who better to talk about all this with than a bunch of VFLs? So today is our VFL only show. Well, except for me. I snuck in. We got 6 guys here. It was going to be 7. Fuad Reve's under the weather today. We appreciate him not coming in and giving it to us. But we will have 6 VFLs here to talk about the state of the team, to talk about whether the offense is going to be explosive again this year, whether it's going to regain that explosiveness. We'll talk about is the defense playoff caliber. We're going to have a little team sunshine with things to be happy about. Team raincloud, things to worry about, and what would be a good season? That'll actually be our poll question, too. Let's get into it. First segment of today's show brought to you by our friends at the Garza Law Firm. It is amazing to me how many ads I see for law firms, but there's not a thing local about them in their ads or with the law firm. Sure enough, when I Google the name, do a little research, what I find is, well, they've got a P.O. box in Knoxville, but that's about it. They might have a paralegal down there answering phones, but that's about it. They're located in Birmingham or West Tennessee. Folks, a local attorney can serve you best when you need an attorney. And if you're looking for a local attorney, then you go with the Garza Law Firm. Marcos Garza has been a big part of this community for years and years. You see them all about town, and they do great work. GarzaLaw.com to learn more about local attorneys. All right, I want to welcome in the first wave of panelists. Overstreet coming out here without a jacket. No, I'm sorry. Actually, these guys didn't get the memo. I said this week, Will, I'll vouch for you. I don't want anybody thinking that you're in trouble and financially can't afford a jacket. But I sent these guys a note. I said, hey, it's VFL show, so if you don't want to wear jackets, you don't have to wear jackets. And these two show up in jackets. So they may remove their jackets later on, so they don't make Will feel bad.
Some people listen, some people don't.
Will's been following instructions. There you go. Will Overstreet, Sterling Hinton, Daniel Hood. Gentlemen, you've been a part of my Sunday show for years. You're going to be. We're starting next Sunday, right back doing our post-game stuff. Looking forward to another year. It will be our 22nd year of doing the Sports Source. And Sterling, you go all the way back to that first year. I think your first show was the and we did pre and post back then, was the Miami game.
Miami game.
Yeah. Got to punch him in the mouth. Hit him in the mouth.
Hit him in the mouth.
Hit him in the mouth.
Yes, sir.
All right, here's the deal. I want to talk about just where this team is. You heard me do the preamble there. Recruiting's great. You've got high-profile players again. You're on the cusp of the playoffs. You're in that mix at least. People are talking about your top 15 ranked going into the season. In terms of the state of the program, Will, where are you as a VFL? You watched it dip after you after you left. It dipped. Where are you in terms of watching this thing now?
You're back as a contender. I mean, that's the only way to say it. Top 15, whatever you're going to be. You got a 12-man playoff. If you're getting into that or have a chance to get into that, you're back in this thing. And if you look at what they're doing on the recruiting trail with the upcoming players that they're getting as well, I mean, they're taking players from the people you have to take from the Georgias, the Alabamas. You have to win those one-on-ones, and you're starting to do that. And you're starting to see kind of this, I guess the name of the team or kind of how's this team look? Because right now it's like you're going to have a great up-front defensive line. So you're starting to see more success up there, and you're starting to see success in recruiting more of those guys. And then you've got the explosive offense that Josh Heupel always has. So this team is defining itself and kind of defining itself out there to other players and becoming kind of what is this team about. And it's become a contender because it's become really good in certain areas and is adding on to that and becoming more successful and getting more of those types of players.
You mentioned the teams you're beating to get players. A couple weeks ago, you get David Sanders, the offensive lineman. Ohio State wanted him. I used to live in Columbus. I got so many texts from old friends in Columbus that are ticked off. It's like, I don't know how we dropped the ball at Ohio State. I'm like, well, maybe you didn't drop the ball. Maybe Tennessee just out-recruited you. Maybe Tennessee's back. They didn't think of that.
Yeah.
So it is interesting to see Tennessee beating those types of schools for the players they want. Sterling, in terms of where this program is, you're of course connected to the program. You're the sideline guy. You're the face of the university. I see you on every video now. When I first got you, that 20 years ago, you were kind of an impartial. Now, you've become the thing. But what do you think about where this program is again? Nobody loves it more than you.
I mean, and I've loved it through those other days also. Yeah. But the thing I like about the program right now, it's great to be involved, man. I mean, Tennessee, that thing is spread across the world. I wear a T-shirt in California. Go Vols! That didn't happen 10 years ago. And now I think everybody wants to be a part of this thing that's happening called the Power T. Everybody wants to be a part of it. So we're able to beat out schools for phenomenal players because they want to know what's going on. Curiosity's got people wondering what's going on at Tennessee. And we've got great coaches. We've got a great athletic director, Donnie Plowman, one of the greatest ever. And now the players are actually coming here to be a part of this special thing that's going uphill. And, man, we ain't stopping.
Which you guys were a part of. I mean, when you came, Tennessee was still it was when Majors, he'd won the Sugar Bowl. It was on the upswing. You were there through SEC titles. Will, you were there for a national championship. You came in at the tail end. You went through 3 coaches. Yeah. What about what you're seeing now?
Yeah, and, Will hit everything with the team, I think, of all the things that's going right. To me, the most important part is the foundation that's been set with your athletic director, Danny White, the fan experience, and Tennessee finished, I think, 3rd this year in the Directors' Cup as some of the best programs, right?
Won the SEC for the 2nd straight year in terms of all sports.
Yeah, and so you're finally competing on with every sports in the level. You have to have a strong administration in order to get that stuff done, and they're focused on the fan experience. You look at the 865 project. You look at the new addition they just did on the south side of the stadium. All these things are just fuel for this program that it's getting ready to take off. Now you're seeing a number 6 ranked nationally recruiting class. All these things are just fuel. And it feels like this is the season that you're going to get that admission.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and we'll talk about that, whether it's this season or if this is a building block to next season. It does feel, though, like you are back to a level of consistency. With Butch Jones, you had an 11-game win streak at one point. I mean, people forget that. Yeah. That's a whole season undefeated. You just did it over 2 years. But you never quite felt like, okay, everything is smooth sailing from here.
Right.
You still heard the rumblings behind the scenes and that kind of stuff. Now, though, with this offense, with what Heupel does, I think you've got a floor that's pretty darn high. I mean, you can get injuries and things can happen, but I just don't see this team going back to a 5-win team at any point. So if you're talking about a team that's consistently 8 or above and you're competing for titles on your best years, yeah, I think you're back. I don't think there's any debating it.
You know what's beautiful about that statement you just made right there, John P., is that you said we're looking at a team that's probably going to be 8 wins and above, but know what's incredible about the team? We're competitive in every game. There's not one game or one team you see on that schedule you say, oh, here they come, or we got to go there. We're competitive in every game.
I don't know. I still might feel that way with Georgia.
That's okay. We're going to change that.
It's okay. This is just segment 1, and you're already like this.
I know.
Wait till 12, 20-year-olds around. That's right. When we come back, we're going to roll out 3 more VFLs for you, including a guy who played on last year's team. Should be some interesting insights from Ollie Lane, Kevin Simon, J.J. Surlis. They're here next. We're going to talk offense. We're going to talk defense. We're going to talk about everything. We're even going to tell you about our new Saturday show, which starts in 6 days, Saturday. As a matter of fact, speaking of that Saturday show, here you go. Welcome back into the Sports Source. The segment brought to you by A.G. Hines Company. If you have a building project, big, small, personal, business, start it at A.G. Hines Company. They helped me build the set that we're on now. And I can't wait to show you the new studio that they are helping me build. That'll be on our new Saturday kickoff show, which starts this weekend. A.G. Hines Company. Folks, when I say this is where you should start, that's not lip service. That's not scripted. That's been handed to me by A.G. Hines Company. That's the thing about these ads. I tell you what I think about these companies, and I start with A.G. Hines Company. It's the best people in the world. They'll take care of you. Your project will be aces because you went to aghines.com to start. All right, let's welcome in the next wave of panelists. He's been with us before. J.J. Surlis right down there. J.J., former teammate of Sterling Hinton and former teammate of Mike Stoll, who'll be back with us this Sunday, starting this Sunday. All right. VFL Ollie Lane, new to our group. You'll be with us on Saturdays with the Saturday Kickoff Show. Mm-hmm. Ollie, of course, played last year. And Kevin Simon back with us. He's going to be the other co-host of our Saturday show. Kevin, thanks for being here, man.
Always great to be on with you guys.
Appreciate it. All right, you guys heard what we were discussing that last segment. I want to get your take on where the program is now. And Kevin, you have a unique viewpoint of this. You're a former NFL scout. So just from a talent standpoint, I'm sure you can now look at Tennessee and say, okay, you're ahead of where you were, and you're getting more so, I would assume.
Yeah, without a doubt. Tennessee's revival to becoming a national brand, the state of the program's in a good spot. I agree with Coach Heupel in his comments at SEC Media Day that we're climbing the summit, but we still got work to do. You're winning battles, flipping a guy like Deshaun Brame, tight end out of Kansas, from Oregon to Tennessee, winning battles to get David Sanders over the likes of Ohio State or Georgia. So winning those battles on the recruiting trail, the recruiting's the lifeblood of what you got from what we say from a franchise, the draft. It's the same thing from a recruiting standpoint with the college football team. But they've done a heck of a job of identifying the right guys that we need to go win a championship in our program, and then going out and executing through NIL, through relationships, and getting those guys to align themselves, with the University of Tennessee.
JJ, as somebody who played during a championship run before, and then I know you, man. I know what the last couple of decades of, I know what they've done to you, because I get the angry texts. How are you feeling right now about where this program is?
I mean, the biggest thing, the excitement is everywhere. I mean, everybody's excited about this season, and you have the athletes to back stuff up now. You're getting the great players. And I think the team, one of the biggest things I think we went through for a while there was the fact that it's almost, we forgot how to win for a few years, and it was so frustrating. We won 2 SEC championships when I was on the team, and we were competitive all the time.
Yeah.
But everything's exciting now. I mean, not just with football alone, but look at all the other sports and how they're doing also. And Sterling said it, he hit the nail on the hammer. You know what I mean? But, yeah. All the sports are competing. Everything's exciting right now, and it's great to be involved.
Yeah, I think Danny White has brought, I don't know if it's his personality that's come out there and kind of spread across, but an energy came when he arrived that has kind of percolated and spread across the entire program.
That's right.
Whatever he's making, they need to keep paying him.
That's right.
So Vitello got the big raise. I'm sure Danny White's being taken care of as well. Ollie, let me ask you, as somebody who, and we'll get into the change from Pruitt to Heupel a little bit later. I want to do a whole segment on that. But as someone who was part of the turnaround, you're from Gibbs, you grew up in the area. What's it mean to have been a part of the group that it now looks like changed the direction of the program?
Yeah, I mean, it means a great deal to me to kind of be viewed as part of that group that kind of went in and did that. Obviously I grew up in Knoxville, so I was a Tennessee fan for my entire life. So I saw us when we were, pretty decent with those late years of Fulmer, kind of dip off, and then, we've kind of been non-existent for the past 10 years. We've kind of picked it back up, especially in the last 3 years. Heupel's done a really good job of kind of bringing in everything that he wants, bringing in his scheme, and, just his player development style is advancements from where we had been before. We're bringing in these highly touted recruits, and we're not just letting them sit there. We're actually taking them and developing them and making them better football players than what they were when they came in. And I think that's a huge change from what's been going on in this program. We get some of these good players, but then we don't do anything with them. So now it's actually, we're taking the time, the resources to actually develop into that and make a good product every Saturday.
I'm feeling confident about where this program is. I said it in the last segment that I don't, again, the wheels fall off when it's least expected, but I feel a consistency here that we haven't seen in years. You agree with that? That this thing seems to be, I'm not talking about, you're not Georgia yet. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But in terms of I don't think you're going back to the years where you lose, every other year to Vanderbilt. I just don't see that coming back into play at any point.
Well, I think that starts with Coach Heupel, his vision, his message, and then also the consistency amongst the staff. I mean, the only person that you lost the last 4 years or 3 years has been Golish. Everybody else has virtually remained the same. So, getting everybody pulling the same direction, because if everyone's pulling the same direction, then we can pull a heavy load. And there's no doubt that every man, woman associated with the program inside the building, they're all tight-knit. Everybody understands the message. Everybody understands the vision. And I think Heupel has a way about him that's positive and encouraging, and that really resonates with today's player.
Mm-hmm. Well, you expect to win also. You're not worried. You're not second guessing yourself. When you go out there on Saturday, you're ready to, hey, we're going to win today.
Mm-hmm.
You're not. There's no negativity. It's all positive.
Coming out there with confidence.
That's right. That's right. That's a huge difference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and we'll talk about the huge difference just from Heupel, from Heupel back to Pruitt with Ollie a little bit later. But when we come back, I want to talk about the offense. Last year, it wasn't quite as explosive. Cover your ears, Ollie. Last year, it wasn't quite as explosive as it had been in previous years. We'll show you some numbers. We'll ask the question, is it about to reignite? Are they going to get that explosiveness back this year? Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Elkmont Station. Pre-game, post-game, watch the game. Regardless of your exact plans on UT game days, just make sure Elkmont Station is a part of your plan. Just a great, unique menu, terrific environment. Check them out in West Knoxville on a Saturday this fall. Elkmont Station. You can learn more at elkmontstationknox.com. All right, let's get you involved. We're going to do the poll question today. I'm always interested to see how many people went to our website to play, but if we can get the question up, there we go. Today's question, what qualifies as a successful season for the Vols in 2024? Boy, no one says 8 wins. The answers are 8 wins, but you end on a roll. So 8 wins and you're building to 2025. So far, the people who've gone to our website to vote, no one has said that is a successful year. The majority of you have said 9 wins and in the playoff chase. And then you've got 25% of you saying playoff, nothing else. It's only a success if you make the playoff. All right, so what you do, take your smartphone, click the QR code, and play along with us, or go to sportsource.tv/polls and vote there. We always like seeing your answers. Back with Ollie Lane, Sterling Hinton. I want to talk about the offense. Last year, the offense took a little bit of a dip. We got some numbers we can put up here. This is Heupel's big play history. All right, so this is what was missing last year. Go all the way back to when he was an OC at Missouri. These are pass plays over 30 yards, and you see how many he had there. They were third in the conference, second in the conference, first, second, first. Last year, 9th. You went from 40 30-yard pass plays to 18 last year. I'm not going to beat up on the New England Patriots' third, fourth-string quarterback right now, but I do have the question, and Ollie, I'm not going to take. I told you I'm not going to make you say anything bad about guys who are over there now. I don't want to put you in a critic's role just yet, first year out. But Joe's not over there anymore. So now my question is this: did you have the gunpowder last year and you just lacked a match, or were you missing some of the gunpowder too? That's what we're going to find out this year. Is it going to go back to the explosive thing we've seen before? Was last year just the aberration, or do you have concerns this year?
I feel comfortable with how this offense is going to do this year. I think fans saw a little drop off last year. There's a lot of moving parts in last year's offense. You bring in, you promote Joey Halsley as your OC, you lose Golish. You bring in a new quarterback because Hinton is gone now. And now obviously Joe had a couple games at the end of the season in 22 to kind of get ready for it. But it felt like the whole year there just seemed to be some type of disconnect between. Maybe, I don't know if it was the plays being called, the reads that we were making. It just seemed like there was something that couldn't get on board with each other. Yeah, in sync with each other. And I mean, I don't know, when you brought up those numbers, it kind of surprised me a little bit. I'm used to, in 22 we had all those big plays and stuff, and you kind of get used to that, especially in offensive lineman. You go off the field in one play and you feel great. That didn't happen a lot last year, and I mean, I noticed it, but I didn't notice it was to that extent. But I definitely think you see a big jump between the offensive talent level from last year to this year. And obviously the same people are the same for the most part. But I think you see that match get lit this year, and I think you see more explosive plays like you did in 22.
Sterling, going to be explosive again? History says it should, that last year was the exception to the rule. Why am I asking you this? I know what you're just do your thing. Go.
Well, hey, John P. Well, I'm gonna be conservative in the stir of pearl analytics. Okay, here we go. You know, we lost Brew last year. Don't forget, we lost Brew McCoy. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Thornton, though he was exceptional at his other school, you know, he was a rookie in the SEC last year. Now he's got a year underneath his belt. Brew is back. We've got a leader at the wide receiver position that's confirmed leader. We've got a guy who has exceptional talent at a quarterback. We've got 2 other ones that can play, you know, at that position. I'm excited about the offense. I hope those numbers come back to a Hendon Hooker-esque. Yeah. But if they don't, they're close enough. Hey, man, I think we can do some big things. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, history, when you look at that over all those years, there's just such consistency there, except for last year. That's why I'm quick to say last year was the exception to the rule. I don't think we're starting a trend. There was talk last year, have defenses figured this out? Like, no. You just didn't connect on the deep balls. That's what hurt you more than anything last year. You didn't have that threat in your offense. And it will be interesting to see, because we said on the show last year, Joe Milton didn't help his receivers at times. I think if there's a stat that's going to go up this year with Nico, if he is, he's not going to be as accurate as Hendon Hooker. I wouldn't think, because Hendon Hooker put the ball exactly. I mean, he hit you. Yes, it was perfect. If you need to turn left, he puts it here, right here. And so he led his receivers perfectly. I think it's yards after catch are going to go up again, and that's going to lead to more big plays. But last year, Milton didn't help out his receivers. You know, you had high passes, you had hit pocket passes. At the same time, you had receivers that had some drops. You had some key drops. Yeah. It never meshed. It wasn't all on Milton. But we're going to see this year how much of it was Milton, how much of it were these receivers. Do we see Thornton in his second year take a step forward?
Absolutely.
What does Chris Brassel do?
Yes.
You've been over there and seen practice a little. You were impressed with Chris Brassel.
Yeah, no, I was very impressed with him. I think he's going to be a really good addition to that already stout wide receiver room. So.
Yeah. All right. So we got the offensive guys. They feel good about the offense coming back. Let's talk about the defense next. Let's bring in Willie Raincloud and his crew, and we'll talk about whether or not the defense is playoff level. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Southeast Termite and Pest Control. Whether you need a one-time spraying for your home or your office, a specialty treatment like mosquitoes or termites, or regularly scheduled preventative maintenance visits, which is what I'd recommend, Southeast Termite and Pest Control can take care of you. All across East Tennessee, they got trucks going out every single day. Good people. The Haynes family do a great job. Like all the businesses that you see on this show, locally owned, family owned. So when you're supporting them, you're supporting East Tennessee, and then they give right back to the community. SoutheastTermite.com to learn more. All right. Back with our former Tennessee defenders, Daniel Hood, Will Overstreet, J.J. Surlis, and Kevin Simon right down there. Everyone focuses on the Vols defense as the weakest link of the program. I keep reading things online. It's like, well, if they're going to get to the playoffs, it's got to be the defense has to improve. I've made the point on the show it was actually the offense that took the step back last year, not the defense. The defense looked pretty good across the SEC. As a matter of fact, let's take a look at some numbers. All right, here's where Tennessee ranked in 8 defensive categories last year. The top number is nationally. The bottom number is in the SEC. All right. Some of those, pass defense, obviously that's a question. Was a question last year, it's a question this year. Turnovers, 3rd in the SEC, 59th in the country. You're going to need to be a little better than that, I would think. But my question for you guys, is their defense the right caliber to make a playoff run? Do they have enough defense to make a playoff run, JJ?
Yes, I think you have the talent there now. You also have depth. And, we didn't have a lot of depth throughout the last few years. And so, you can run. You don't have guys wore out. You have the potential or the ability to run guys in and out. You're probably 2 or 3 deep at each position now that are competitive players. They're good athletes. They're big. They're stronger. And you got guys coming off the side, both sides of the ball. Pass rush is huge. And you got the space eaters inside now, too. So I think that the ability's there, the talent's there now, and look forward to a great year.
Let me just stop for a second. This is where we're different than other television shows. The guys on the floor, which mic? Kevin. Kevin's mic is not on or needs to be lowered? On. Oh, Is your mic on, Kevin? Get the little red light going there. It's big time TV, folks. This is a different.
I just sit down and expect it all to be.
We're good now. Excellent. See, now what we could have done, other shows would have just left that mic off for the entire time, and no one would have ever known the difference. That's a waste of time. Let's just fix it. Okay. You heard JJ's take. Will, do you agree this defense is playoff caliber?
Front seven, absolutely. Right? DBs, I don't know what you got. I mean, that's the honest truth. Like, we don't know what kind of players there. Now, this team with the offense, if it takes its step up, and with the front seven like it's going to be to get pressure on the quarterback and you get some turnovers, maybe you're good enough with that DB group. But right now, I really don't know what you have as far as DB, how big of a weakness, how big of a drop-off. Because at times it's hurt you in games. When you had DBs that came up and were supposed to be run support, they bounced off guys and let a guy take a 8-yard run for a touchdown. Mm-hmm. They cost you a game in Florida. Right, so you have some things like that you have to have from this DB group. I don't know. I don't think it has to be with the front seven you have and the offense you have. I don't think it has to be lights out. So I'm not saying it has to go to here, but it can't be such a liability that it hurts you really bad. So like, there's a fine line of how good does this group have to be, and it's got to make it in the playoffs and have any real chance. It's going to have to take a step up. And I still don't know what we have there yet to say if it's going to be that level.
Daniel, I see you nodding.
Yeah. And I think Will hit the biggest question on the head, right? We don't know what we have at DB and safety. We got a lot of guys coming in. Boo Carter. We've got the Andre Tarantine, and we've got some sophomore cornerbacks coming in. But you look at the defensive staff, and it seems like they've been able to make decisions to make that group better, right? Like anytime that I see players transfer, most of the time, especially now in the NL, it feels like most of the time they're usually forced out more than anything else. You look at Tennessee lost Tyler Barron, who went to Ole Miss and then transferred to another school, and it makes you question the type of character that person may have had, and like, was he actually pushed out or did he choose to go somewhere for money, right? And I'm not saying that I know either way, but you look at things like that, and it looks like they're making the decisions to make the team better. This team doesn't have to be a top 5 nationally with the offense that they run, but they've got young talent there. And the one stat that you didn't put on there that I think was most impressive was their tackle for loss. That's a stat that Josh Heupel.
Sorry, I only put 8 up there, Daniel.
But I mean, like, the tackle for loss is one that this team. This team.
Well,
really
it kind of goes along with the sacks.
Exactly. Exactly. Right. And you're talking about a team that had over 100 tackle for losses last year. That's going to help take some pressure off of those cornerbacks and safeties from not having to defend as long.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons that Tim Banks was brought in and has tried to have an aggressive defense. When you're paired with this offense, you need to put the other guy behind the sticks with big plays. You need turnovers. And that's why the turnover number, 3rd in the SEC, there's nothing wrong with that. 59th in the country out of 130 teams. That could probably go up if they're going to make a move into the playoff caliber. Kevin, your take on the defense, and can Tennessee get in the playoff mix with that D?
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt that Tennessee can get into the playoffs with the defense as it is. Now, I think there's a distinction between getting into the playoff and contending for a national championship.
Right.
But I'll answer your question, John.
Yeah, I get you. There's a difference between number 12 and number 4.
Without a question. But I'm going to echo Rodney Gardner's sentiments about his defensive line. A year ago this time he said we're starting to have the makings of a championship level defensive front, and now he feels like we got the pieces to go do a little damage. They're going to have to because of with the young secondary, all the moving pieces. You had 5 starters a year ago; they're all gone. You had 11 guys in that DB room a year ago that are not there anymore. So there's going to be some growing pains. Like from 22 to 23, you had all the same guys back out there on the field. They did a better job. Number one thing on the defensive side of the ball for the secondary, defend the deep area of the field. Limit explosive plays, don't give up busts, and they did a much better job of that in 23 than what they did in 22. Right. I think there may be some more growing pains just in guys understanding because defense is about understanding where your leverage is and how to use it. And some of those young guys, just the communication of it all, it's probably going to take some time. But hopefully the athleticism part and the turnover part comes along with guys like Jamon McCoy, who transferred in from Oregon State, who's pigeoned to be one of our corners, Ricky Gibson. And then you got guys in the back end. You know, we talk about our safeties having a bunch of experience. I guess for this secondary, yeah. But Turrentine's only started one game in his career. It's the Citrus Bowl. You know, Will Brooks has played more football than anybody else returning with the absence of Thomas. But I mean, he's a former walk-on, currently on scholarship, but he hasn't played a whole lot of football. So I think there's going to be some growing pains. Looks like Christian Harrison's going to be our starting star.
Yeah.
Him and Boo Carter have been battling for that spot. Looks like Tim Banks and those guys feel a little bit more comfortable having veterans, and that's their MO.
That's where I was going to go.
More veteran players.
Yes, that's where I was going to go. There have been some people like, why don't you play the younger guys? Because the younger guys, they may make a play, they also may bust.
Yeah.
Whereas the conservative is a little bit better with that defensive group over there. It seems that they would prefer, don't get out there and make any mistakes. Yeah, we'd love to have big plays, but let's just mind our own business at first, because it looks like they prefer to go with more veteran players than younger guys. And this year, they're kind of going to be forced to go with a lot of guys who don't have that experience.
No doubt. Listen, so secondary coaches, number one thing, defend the deep area of the field. When mistakes happen in the secondary, guess what? Everybody knows it because they strike up the band and it's a touchdown for the bad guys.
All right. Very good. Gentlemen, I appreciate it. When we come back, I'm not sure what we're doing next, but we'll get something good. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. There's no better place to buy a boat. And fall is here, so that means if you're looking for next spring, next summer, you're tired of seeing your neighbors and your friends hauling their boat to the lake, and you're sitting there at home wishing you were on the lake because they're not inviting you. Take action. You know, put the power in your own hands. Get down to Madisonville Marine right now. Buy your boat for next year. And let me tell you, if you're wanting a bass boat, and your wife wants a pontoon, your kids want to ski behind something, get down there and talk to Madisonville Marine. Joe Special and their team can get you in the right boat that satisfies all your family's needs. madmarine.com, as I said, there's no better place to buy a boat. All right, let's remind you of our poll question. Let's see what the answers are so far. Ooh, still nobody saying 8 wins. Nobody thinks, unless my eyes are off. There may be somebody down there. But it looks like most of you think 9 wins, playoff chase would be good enough for you. So it sounds like they're rational. That's good. That's good. Keep voting. Keep telling us how you feel. I do want to see if we can get any more people down there that would say 8. Look, 8. You're in on a roll. Come on. That's kind of like last year. 8 wins in a row. All right. Ollie, you played for Jeremy Pruitt to start. Then you played for Josh Heupel. You and I had dinner a couple weeks ago, and you told me something I thought was interesting that really sums everything up about what the change was in that program. What was the big difference that you saw around the facilities going from one guy to the other one?
Yeah, I mean, just as soon as Heupel started coming in and kind of bringing his own philosophy in, you saw a lot more guys stick around that complex. I mean, with Pruitt and them, you'd see guys, as soon as that whistle's blown, like, they're done, we're done for the day, we're getting out of here, nobody's coming back for that extra work, trying to do anything different, but it was just uncomfortable to be around the complex. Nobody wanted to be around that coaching staff. It was hard conversations to have with them. Every time you talked to them, you didn't know if you were going to get yelled at or if they were going to tell you something that you didn't really want to hear. And so a lot of guys just avoided it at all costs. And I mean, it showed on Saturdays when we played. I mean, nobody was really
putting in the
extra effort and stuff like that. And I mean, I can tell you too, like, the whole mindset of our football team, how we went out and played football games changed. You know, before when we were recruiting, then we'd have Alabama or Georgia or something coming up and be like, man, how bad are we going to get beat this week? It was never like that. Oh, we maybe got this one this week. Like, it was like unsure that we were ever going to win every time we went out there. I mean, now we go out there with Heupel, it's like, oh, we're going to win this game by how much? Like, oh, we're going to bring it to them by how much? It's never like, oh, I hope we can get it this today. It's like we go out there with Heupel and it's like we know we're going to win, or at least feel pretty confident that we have the opportunity to win. And, I mean, I don't know what caused that. I think it had to deal a lot with just guys not feeling like they had the buy-in from the coaching staff that they were asking of us during that time. Because, you know, as football players, you ask a lot of us to, you know, be around the complex 24/7, continue to eat right, do right, sleep, work out, all this stuff. And so, I mean, when you're not feeling that investment from your coaching staff to that it's appreciated that you do those things, then I mean you kind of just don't want to do them.
Well, it's also one of those things. You know, there are coaches who were absolute drill sergeants, but you still have players who years later say, "Oh, I loved him. He changed my life," because they won.
Yeah.
If you're the drill sergeant and you don't win, nobody's going to hang around. No one wants to deal with you. One of the things I thought was interesting when Heupel came in, there had been so many people that, I mean, it was like the lights came on and the rats just took off. The transfer portal was spinning with Vols as soon as Pruitt left. And Heupel came in and he didn't run guys off. Instead, it was, hey, let's all get together and watch the Super Bowl. Hey, let's all play volleyball or dodgeball or whatever it was. All these team-building activities. And we wondered on this show whether or not, one, that's just because, you know, that's fake. Because he knows he can't afford to lose anybody. He's going to give them love because everybody else is flown. He doesn't want anybody else to take off. So he can't do the traditional new coach comes in, puts the team through hell, runs off his guys. And so I wondered, was that real? And I also wondered, what happens with discipline? If you are Mr. Nice Guy, are people going to walk all over you? And what we've seen is, it seems that was real. That's really who he is. And also, there aren't discipline problems over there, knock on wood. But that is, I mean, for a football team. It's pretty impressive, the track record that they have over there. Talk to me about Josh Heupel behind the scenes and how he runs that program. Because it does seem, friendly is probably not the right, but it does seem friendlier. It does seem more like a family.
Yeah, and I think he brings that aspect to it. You know, he wants it to be a big family. We're a big orange family. You know, I mean, even extended to fans and stuff, like we're all in that big orange family. So he wants players to feel like they're at home. You know, you got a lot of guys coming from a bunch of different places around the country away from their families. And so, I mean, to be able to come to a place that is now your family and you can feel comfortable around them, it means a lot. And it makes you play better, too. Because, you know, you got brothers and stuff around you everywhere you go. I think one of the big things that you said, you know, it wasn't fake when he came in. You know, as most of us have been through coaching changes, you realize that when that new coach comes in, they're trying to run everybody out so they can bring their own guys in. And, I mean, obviously, we lost a ton of people. And I think what Coach Heupel realized is that the people that stayed actually cared about the University of Tennessee and wanted to be there for the betterment of the university. And so I think he took that and saw that this is the group of guys that's going to help me build something here, because they're not going to be here for much longer, but they can help start that process because they love the university and they'll give back to us. And I think he took advantage of that in the right way to build it to where it's going to now.
I think that's one of the things that's most impressive. You can see this in the really good coaches. In basketball here, you've had, over the years with all the basketball coaches Tennessee had down through the years, there were guys that would say, well, when I get my guys in here. And then you had a Bruce Pearl, you had a Rick Barnes that just immediately came in and said, oh, no, these are our guys.
Yeah.
I remember famously halftime of the first Alabama game, Jeremy Pruitt's interviewed coming off the field, and he makes a comment, well, if we can't play any better than this, I'll bring in 25 new guys. And I just thought, okay, you're a schmuck, and you're not going to last here because you're not going to have the time to out-recruit Alabama. Whereas Heupel seems to be, that's a heck of a statement, that he was a guy who said, no, you're my guys.
Yeah.
So that's impressive. Tell you what, Ollie, hang around right here. We're going to bring out Kevin Simon next, and we're going to tell you, we got much more to come. We're going to do Team Sunshine. We're going to do Team Raincloud. We're going to tell you what we think a successful season would be. But next, I want to tell you more about our Saturday show, which starts this week. Kevin's going to join us because he and Ollie are going to be co-hosting the thing. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by, I know this guy, Daniel Hood. Daniel Hood Roofing. Fall is nearly here, and that means another wet, rainy winter is right behind it. Don't wait around to see if your old roof can make it through another winter. Get a free inspection from Daniel Hood Roofing. They want to help you get a new roof, and they want to make sure your insurance company pays for it. DanielHoodRoofing.com. So many people on this show have had Daniel fix their roofs. And you've heard him vouch for him right here, DanielHoodRoofing.com. All right, let's take a look at the final poll results. Hey, somebody clicked, I bet Bob Hodge is somewhere saying 8 wins is acceptable. I bet he clicked that. 6% say 8 wins in the season on a roll. Okay, that would be acceptable. That would be successful. The majority of you, 81%, say 9 wins and a playoff chase. Got to be in the playoff race. And then 13% of you say it's playoff or bust. So there you go. That's your view. You can keep voting. We put the show online, so the numbers may be a little later, a little different when we post that thing this afternoon. All right. Next Saturday at 11 a.m., leading right into the Clemson-Georgia game, which is SEC on ABC at noon every week, we're going to be launching the Sports Source Saturday Kickoff. Myself, Kevin, Ollie will be hosting the 1 hour breakdown. It's all Tennessee. So if you're sitting there thinking, well, I really don't care about this Florida versus Arkansas matchup, well, you don't have to watch the SEC Nation. You can come watch us 11 to noon right here on Channel 6. Let me go ahead and show you what all is going to be on this show. There you see it, 11 to noon. It's going to be shot on location and in a brand new studio. That's going to debut on Saturday. You're going to see several shots, several different sets in this new studio. You'll see that. It'll debut on Saturday. And I've had a lot of out-of-towners ask me if we're going to stream the thing. Yes, we will stream it on YouTube at 11 a.m., but we prefer you watch it right here on Channel 6 if you're in town, of course. VFL's Kevin Simon and Ollie Lane, they're going to be bringing you talk on the game plan that day, talent comparisons, and much more. Jimmy Himes is going to provide you 3 things to know about the Chattanooga team Tennessee's facing. Ryan Callahan, 3 recruits to watch this week. VFL Mike Stoll is going to talk to you from the captain's corner. Paige Dower, Bob Hodge, Vince Farrar, and Dave Hooker are going to be in our sports bar talking about one topic. Josh Ward, Tyler Ivins, Will West, and Chuck Cavaleris are going to be in our game room talking about another topic. Reese Van Haften is going to be here at WATE. And at the end of the thing, we're going to have score predictions. Nobody's ever done this. We're going to have score predictions from 15 different VFLs and media people in town all butted together, boom, 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 boom. So you can sit there with your gambling app and say, oh, I trust Ollie. I'm going with his prediction. That's what you need to do. So that is Saturdays starting this Saturday, 11 a.m. every week. Kevin, you love the nuts and bolts of it. You love the X's and O's, so you're going to be a part of breaking down the talent differential between these teams. Also, the game plan, the 1, 2, 3 biggest points every week that folks can go into this game and look for and say, oh, Kevin said this and Kevin said that. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, definitely, like breaking down the keys of the games, matchups, strengths, weaknesses, just key things for the fans to look for before the game, because love hearing the analysis after it, but this is all going to be our attempt at like kind of peeling some of the layers back and giving you a perspective from a player's and coach's standpoint, kind of walking into a Saturday and what that looks like.
And then with Ollie, you already got a taste of it in that last segment. What I wanted from you, again, we've tried this before with guys who are just off the team. It's tough to be uber critical with guys you were in the trenches with. So my goal for you is I want you to take us inside. I'm not going to use you as a post-game critic. I want to do as a pre-game, hey, here's how Heupel would handle this game. If somebody gets lost to injury, well, when it happened with Brew McCory, here's what he did. Even insights into specific games. You got Kentucky this year. What were the deal? Was there bad blood last year? That kind of stuff. So you can kind of take folks inside the program where they haven't really gotten that before.
Yeah, no, I mean, being fresh from playing, I know almost everybody that's still on that team. I know the mindset. I know their attitudes going into each game. So, I mean, I look forward to, bringing fans into that and kind of let them see what our mindset is going into big games and stuff like that. And then, kind of getting them more excited about understanding what all really goes into putting that product out there on Saturday. So
very good. And not to mention the fact there's going to be a lot that goes into putting our product together on Saturday. So we hope you'll watch it next Saturday and have your phone ready to call a friend and say, hey, don't forget, are you watching Channel 6 right now at 11 a.m.? Check that out. And, of course, we're always here on Sunday for the post-game show. Also, it's easy to remember. Just start your weekend at 11 a.m. on Channel 6, Saturday and Sunday. All right, when we come back, how about a big old dose of sunshine? Let's have Sunshine Sterling and Team Sunshine tell you what they feel best about this team coming in 2024. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Safety Systems. Hey, I know this guy too, Safety Systems. Call VFL JJ Surlis if you've got a security system need. I was talking to him earlier today about that very thing for myself. When it comes to security systems, they've been doing it for more than 2 decades, nearly 3 decades at this point. You see that sign, I've told you before, you see that sign right there on so many businesses around town. You see that sign right there with that logo in so many yards around town, including my own. Safety Systems does a wonderful job. They can help find the exact perfect security system for you, and then you get all the benefits of the installation that they do and just the guarantees and all the good work they put behind it. SafetySystems.com. Check them out this week. All right. Well, we'll hold off on Team Raincloud. We'll wait a second. This is Team Sunshine. Sunshine Sterling is with us, and I'm going to start with you, my friend, and we'll just let you tell me the one thing you are most confident in. You can't say everything.
I can't say
everything.
everything.
What are you most confident in? What do you feel best about for this year's team?
What I feel best about, and I want to say one thing, is the defensive line. The defensive line, this might be one of the best defensive line we've had in about 20 years. They're playing together. They're playing hard. We've got Pierce on that end. Is just who he is, somebody. And when that D-line's playing like I've seen them play, and we got linebackers running free, a lot of plays made for losses and short gains keeps our defense ahead of the sticks. I'm very confident in that defensive line. Very confident.
Well, I will reveal that before the show started, you sat here and talked for 5 minutes about the defensive line, which for a quarterback to be doing that says something. I was expecting an oh baby.
Oh, baby, I like that too. But and this edify more. Coach Gardner's done great with those guys. And you know, as a quarterback, I hate those guys being good because they can send 4 at you and put pressure on you, and that's not a good thing trying to get rid of the ball.
Yeah.
And so you got good D lines, but they help the entire team.
All right. Kevin, Ollie, what do you guys feel good about? What do you feel best about?
He stole mine. I was counting on you going in another direction. But obviously what Rodney Gardner has going on, I mean, it's a known. These guys have done it. They're all back from Big O. I believe Omari Norman Lott's going to have a huge year.
Yes.
He has so much twitch, so much suddenness. Ollie can speak to it. I know he's a hard guy to block because you're not used to seeing anybody that sudden inside. Definitely believe he's going to have a big year. But then, like the essential guys, like a Joshua, like Josh Josephs, Caleb Herring. I know all the attention goes to Pierce, but I mean, there's a bunch of cats on that D line.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to make some hay. But the other spots I feel good about is our starters who are returning on the offensive line. So from Cooper Mays to Spraggins to and I get it. John Campbell's moving the right tackle. He's been a little nicked up in the in camp. But feel good about what he's going to be able to get done this season. Hopefully that left side will kind of come into form as well.
Ollie, what do you feel best about?
I haven't really talked about it a lot this morning. I'm still really excited about our running back room. I think our running back room is going to be really good. Leader Dylan Sampson, he's not only is he a great guy, but he's a hard worker and he knows what it takes to be a leader. He stepped up even 2 years ago, started voicing his opinions and being a leader on that team, and now he's in the forefront. He is our leading running back, RB1. And I think you're going to see him take that load that Jalen Wright had last year and run with it. I think he's going to be a great person to kind of help us out in some hard situations and also keep that running game where it was at last year.
See, I would have question marks because I haven't seen proven guys behind him. Though. But you feel good.
Yeah, no,
about
I mean,
Cam Seldon and
I
John Bishop and those
feel
guys.
pretty good about them. So I'm looking forward to what the running back room is going to have this year, and hopefully carry what they've been putting in place for the past few years about how strong this running game is going to be.
All right, let me flip this around, and I'll probably throw this out with Team Raincloud too, maybe. Is there too much pressure being put on Nico Iamaleava? And not too much pressure. Is the hype too big? There are a lot of people that think he's going to step right in and be perfect, and I'm looking at it thinking he started one game in his career. He opens with NC State. Well, he's got a couple of bad games here, but he's got NC State in the first month. He's got a road trip at Oklahoma in his first month. If you're going to have growing pains, it's going to be in that first month. Oof. Is he ready to hit the ground running? I mean, a lot of people just think, okay, here we go. Peyton Manning became Peyton Manning. He wasn't Peyton Manning the first time he went on the field. That's all I'm concerned about. But go ahead, tell me I'm wrong.
Well, I'm not going to tell you wrong. I'm just for the first time, probably 20 years I've been on this show, you might be right. Because it's a lot of pressure. Well, I agree with you with what I'm saying.
We know what you're saying.
We got what you're saying.
The pressure on him as a quarterback is what he came here for, man. That's what he came here for. The guy's an exceptional talent, and the blessing that he has is this offense. You get in rhythm with this offense, you can make some big things happen. And he's got some weapons behind me. Dylan is great as a running back, but he get him in a receiver. I'm going against Dylan against any linebacker one-on-one. I don't care who it is. I don't care who it is. So I think Nico has got an opportunity to do some great things, and I'm excited to watch him grow.
All right, we got to catch a break. I got to run to the tape room and add up all the times you've been right on this show. All right. That should take about 20 minutes. All right, when we come back, that's enough for Sunshine. Next, it's Willie Raincloud. And we bring in some guys. We're going to ask them what are they most concerned about? What are they most worried about going into the season? That's next. Coming back on the Sports Source. Welcome back to the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Games and Things. Football season is here, then basketball, then you roll right into baseball. Folks, it's time to treat yourself right and shop for some new home theater seats at Games and Things. Nobody has more different types of terrific seats than Games and Things. I bought my last two there. I've loved them. Take advantage of that selection and watch the Vols in style starting this weekend. Games and Things. And if you can't make it down there to their showroom, which go ahead and block yourself off a couple hours because you're going to walk in there and you're going to play around. It's a great place. But if you can't make it down there, check them out online, ourgameroom.com. All right, we heard from Sterling and Team Sunshine. Now, Will would have me say it's Team Honest, but it's Team Raincloud because I force you. Give me the worries. Give me the concerns, and we'll start with the captain of this team, Will Overstreet. What's your number one concern?
Number one concern is what have you done really well in the last couple of years? I had these big games, right? It came down to a kick. You saw yesterday against Georgia State, Florida State. Came down to a kick. Georgia Tech, Florida State. Came down to a kick. Right now, you don't have a kicker. You don't have a named number one guy.
I keep hearing you've got three that are all good.
Yeah. Three means you have none right now, right?
Yep.
So I think that's going to come down. When you look at the big games, you've got to play, and, everybody's poll about what is success. It's a 9 wins versus 8 wins, 10 wins versus 9 wins. Those are all small things, right? So when I look at it, you're going to need a kicker at some point to pull off a big kick to win one of those games, especially when you go on the road. That's a tough thing to do. So right now, that's a big concern. You don't have that.
Very good. JJ, what are you concerned about?
I don't want to steal Daniel's thunder on it, but the injuries is a big concern. I blew my knee out in the first game my sophomore year. I know we have depth now, and I feel much more comfortable with the ability to bring in backups and reserves and keep people fresh. But I think injuries is one thing, but you got a brand new secondary back there too. And do these guys gel, and do they know how to rely on each other? And I think that's something too. If you're used to being or playing with somebody, John and I knew what we were thinking.
Right.
Before plays, I could look at him and know that, or Chris Mims or whoever it is on my outside. But I think that's a concern. Is just some of these guys in the secondary. Haven't played together very long. That's concerning, and injuries are always going to bite you.
What do you got, Daniel?
Yeah. Injuries is mine. I don't know if we have a coach in that position. I think soft tissue injuries are preventable in this day and age. I'm sorry about your knee there, JJ, and I've had that before. But there's a bunch. I worry about linebacker depth. Will hit it with the kicker. I know Ollie's excited about the running back room, but you got a new running back coach there, and we saw how the offense struggled last year with the new offensive coordinator. Can we get a pass game? Do we have wide receivers that can be a real deep threat for us?
Wow. I didn't know it could hit them all.
Yeah.
He's rolling them off.
And
he's bringing some serious Raincloud energy.
But I think
real.
I think the biggest one is maybe Coach Heupel's as well, and I think that's why they may have had a scrimmage without Nico. Is what's your quarterback depth? What's going to happen if that injury bug hits him? It's a guy that came in 180 pounds. I think he's up to over 200 now. Like, he's done the right things. But this is a new SEC schedule, and NC State's not an easy team.
Right.
It's going to be a tough game.
Well, let me go there for a second because we talked about this before the show as well. What happens at quarterback? Let's say, knock on wood, it doesn't happen, but Nico goes down for 2 or 3 games. Do they go with the kid who's been around, came from UCF with Heupel, Gaston Moore? Is he going to be your guy because he knows that offense and he can run it? Or do they turn it over to the freshman, Jake Merklinger, who might have more talent? It is a pretty big question mark there behind Nico at this point.
It is, and you hope you don't go to it, right? You hope you don't need that answer. But you've seen a lot of injuries at quarterback, at least for a game or two.
Yeah.
So you do have to be prepared for it and be able to answer the question of what are we going to do at that point in time? So you have to know that.
And I think the only time Tennessee's had a season where a quarterback made it all the way through in the last 5 or 6 years was last year with Joe Milton.
Yeah. Who happens to be a monster.
Yeah, he was a monster. Right.
Let me ask you a question, Will, and everybody else can jump in here too. I asked you about Nico and the hype around him in that last segment. What about James Pierce? I think I can see why James Pierce would be at the top of NFL draft lists because of his skill set and how valuable that is at that level. When I see him listed as the #1 player in college football, I think he's a heck of a football player. But the #1 player in the country, to me, from that position, if you're going to be top player in the country as an edge rusher, you better be Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
That kind of absolute take over a game freak. Is James Pierce getting a little too much hype at this point, or do you think he's going to grow into this role and be the #1 guy in the country?
I mean, he's got the skill set to be that kind of guy. It's just a matter of can he grow into it? Because I think there were things he could work on last year. You know, there was a need for an extra rush move when the speed rush didn't work.
Yeah.
There was some guys lining up and running at him. You know, he needed to improve on that when they kind of said, hey, we're going to attack you. Yeah. And let's face it, teams are going to do stuff against him this year that may cut down just on his actual what he produces. Now, he may just be as valuable or more valuable this year because of the amount of attention he's going to bring. Right. But that means you got to have other people step up on the team. So, you know, it may be a down year stat-wise, but he actually may be a more valuable player to you. Right. But there's things he can work on. But you're right, to be the #1 player, you've got to be a guy that can take over from many different angles. And that means, you know, not just sacks, but getting the ball, right? Like you got to be able to get the ball if you're that kind of guy. So we'll see if he's able to step up to that level. I do agree he's an obvious first round, top 5 pick just because of what he's got. But to be the #1 truly like defensive player of the year type of person, you got to do some other things too.
Well, and he flashed that in the Citrus Bowl with the interception.
Yeah.
Where, you know, just a tremendous play
like I said,
there.
He's got flashes of it. It's just, can you be consistent, and will you do it in the Oklahoma game, Georgia game, Alabama game? It depends when you do it, too. That's the big thing.
Yeah,
when
if
you
you
do it in the game.
If 3 of your 12 sacks come against UTEP, it's not going to mean much. Anything else you want to add there?
I think we hit all the vein. We need more sunshine now.
You went through the roster. That's good.
But the wide receivers, to me, is still the other one of, we always talk about, oh, they're better because they were here last year. Listen, there's a lot of talent, supposedly, but I haven't seen that talent come out, and that's the big area that needs to help Nico this year.
It'll be, again, how much are they going to help him? How much is he going to help them? We will know at the end of this season whether last season was just, man, you had the gunpowder, you just didn't have the match, or you didn't have the gunpowder either. We're going to know because the more I look at this team in reverse, having watched Joe Milton with the Patriots now, scattershot stuff, I'm like, I think a lot of that was just Milton not being the most accurate guy in the world.
I agree.
We'll see, though. We'll see. Do these receivers step up and look better with a different quarterback this year? If not, then I'm going to owe Joe Milton a big apology. All right. When we come back, we asked you, now all of our guys are going to answer, what's a successful season for Tennessee in 2024? We'll see how many guys say playoff or bust. We'll see how many guys say, 8 wins if you do it right and finish strong. Come on back on the Sports Source. Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Chris Smith Insurance. Folks, Chris is an agent for Farmers Insurance, but he's also an independent agent. He's both, meaning when you don't fit perfectly with Farmers, he has other options for you. Shop your insurance now to see how Chris can improve your peace of mind and save you some money. I worked with him just this past week. He'll be insuring some of my new place. He'll also be insuring my car. Chris Smith Insurance, it's who I trust. You should too. csmithagency.com to learn more. All right, we got the whole crew out here, and I want everyone to bat this one around a little bit, and then if we got extra time, we'll kill it. What is a successful season? You saw that the majority of people said 9 wins and a playoff chase. There were only 5 or 6% that said 8 wins will do. 8 wins, but that's 8 wins and you finish strong. So my question, and whoever wants to jump in, I'm not going to do around the horn, we'll just throw it out there. Who wants to go first as to what a successful season would be for 2024?
12-0. 12-0, baby. Let's
Okay,
go.
but see what you're saying there is that you're telling the fans that it's a failure for Josh Heupel if he goes 11-1.
Well, I'm not going to say we're going to lose. I just can't do that. I don't have an undefeated record on my sleeve, but I never played a game I lost. Just learn.
You never.
That's it. I'm just how I see it. That's my
I saw you
mentality.
learn in '88 a lot.
I was injured.
Well, I meant the team, but you.
I learned a lot. That's what we came back with 89. Bam.
Listen, I think the hype and everything you got. People want to see you having a chance to get in the playoffs. Come to the end of the season. So I think it has to be 9 wins. I think that's where you're going to be. I think that's what people want. They want that have the opportunity in that last week. Do you have a chance to still be selected somehow into that playoff mix? And I think that's what they want people to be in.
Okay, I'll let you guys go on.
I think that 9 wins, getting a chance to get into the playoff, but I don't want to see that game. What was it last year, Missouri or South Carolina the year before that? So that game where we just don't show up, I don't want to see that. I think that's huge, just with confidence of your team and whatnot. But I mean, that's just something that we never expected to see, and it's got to go away.
Although I will say this,
show up every week.
I will say this. You do see more and more of that, though, across college football.
Yeah.
You do see more of it, but I understand from a player's perspective, when you didn't see that back in your day, you don't want to see it now.
How's it happen? What happened to that game?
I'm going to be the contrarian, I guess, but I don't care as much about wins and losses anymore, right? Like, if we're playing, if we, think about this, if every game Tennessee played this year, the team that they played, their top 3 players were out, and they won every game. It would be cool. They won 12 games, but it still wouldn't be as exciting. What we really want to see is we want Tennessee to face some adversity, to overcome it, and see guys get better. That's a successful season to me, whether that's 6 wins, 9 wins, or 12.
Wow, the Daniel Lama. That's very good.
So I'll say this. I think 9 wins is a sweet spot. You've taken another positive step from where you were a year ago. I'm like JJ. That Missouri game. Florida
wasn't great either.
But my problem with last season is that you were non-competitive at times in your losses. The loss to Florida, the loss to Alabama, and I get it. James Pierce had a couple strip sack fumbles, but second half, kind of went down the wayside. Georgia was a non-competitive game. And then Missouri was, we obviously know, we don't need to talk about that one. But to me, even if you ended up dropping 4, but were competitive in all those games, I could live with that. But I do feel like 9 wins is a sweet spot for Nico's first year as a starter.
Okay. What are you doing, Allie?
I'm going to be honest with you. You got 12 spots. I'm going to need a 12th spot. We need a spot in the playoffs for it to be considered a successful season. I've been there, been around it.
Wow.
I mean, literally 2 years ago, we were ranked number 1 in the country. I know it was for a week, but, we were ranked number 1. I think a successful season is getting one of those 12 spots. It seems like it's almost it's easier now to get that opportunity to play in the college football playoffs, and I think we've been knocking on the door for the past 3 years with Heupel. I think he has to get one of those spots this year.
I think Will's right. You're going to get a text right after this show.
What? Why? Why would you put that bar there?
I say 9 wins. Look, I think if you're in the playoff mix right up until Georgia, you're not going to lose it to Vandy or UTEP at the end of the season. So it's really that Georgia game. You got to be in the playoff race right up to Georgia. If that's the one that knocks you out and they're still number 1 or number 2 in the country, I understand that. So to me, it's 9 wins and be in the playoff mix. Sterling and Ollie, the two tough guys today, making it tougher on Josh Heupel and that staff. Guys, very much appreciate all of you for being here. See you 2 on Saturday. See you and you on Sunday. And I'll be talking to you this week about a security system. All right. Thank you very much. We'll see you Saturday. We'll see you Sunday at 11 a.m. Sports Source Saturday Kickoff and Sports Source right back here. Thank you.